Folks, good to be with you again. I'm going to talk about a couple of things for you that I think are important, especially if you're approaching, Social Security time, which is usually taken somewhere between for full benefits, either 67 or 68. That's been changing, and incidentally, that'll probably change again because the Social Security fund is being depleted. And of course, those guys in Washington, they fumble the ball on so many things, but they probably will try to protect their jobs by making sure that we are taking care of on Social Security. You're going to get the biggest increase in a long, long time on the 1st of January. And if you're getting Social Security now, you probably already received something indicating that. But that's good. And that's caused by a COLA, cost of living increase, that basically is tied to inflation. So the only thing good about inflation, of course, is that we're going to get more Social Security. It's not going to keep pace because the increase is, I think a little less than 5%, and inflation, we're averaging about 8%. But there's lots of things that are a lot more than that, huh? Go buy some bread. I had a lady I was talking to yesterday on the telephone. She said, went to the grocery store. She said, can you imagine they were charging me $7 for a loaf of bread? She said, it's a good thing that I didn't look at the price when I was buying it, but there it was on my receipt, $7 for a loaf of bread. And that's the way it is. And incidentally, there's lots of other things that have gone crazy. Butter is up 13% from last year. So those are some, obvious things. So gasoline, went up, came down a little bit. It's going to go back up now. The president has released another part of our reserves, and he's got the reserves down so far now that we dare not use anymore. So that's before election time. Go figure. But anyway, but basically inflation is very high. If you look at the stock market and you try to make decisions based on the stock market, you're going to make a lot of bad decisions, or at least a lot of people will, because the market is trending down. So when you see it go up one day, yeah, that's one thing because of some news. Market goes up and down based on news. But the fact of the matter is that, and the reality of it is, we are in a recession and we're going into a worse recession. And we're depending on the Fed to give us some relief. And I don't really believe they're going to give us much relief because they want to stop inflation. Now, this is not the best way to do it, the way that they're doing, but this is what they're doing. So they're going to keep raising rates until the treasuries, that is or the federal fund rate, it basically is as high as the inflation. That's not going to ever happen, but it will approach it. So when you see the 10-year bond, the treasuries yielding, around 5%, which they will, they're already pretty close. Okay, then you know that we are reducing inflation some. It's called demand destruction. The higher the interest rate, look at the interest rates on your mortgages. We've gone from 3 to 6. So we have inflation. Okay, we'll settle that question, but I want to cover some other things here. What about retirement sources for income? What are you going to use? I want to give you some ideas that you may or may not have thought about. Okay, first of all, life insurance has cash value. If it's whole life or if it's universal life, it's got cash value. If you've had it for a long time, you could have accumulated quite a bit of cash value. That money can come out tax-free, okay? And because technically it's classified as loans, and we don't pay taxes on loans, huh? We don't pay tax on loans. Why is it done that way? Because that's the way the insurance company set it up, so that you could take money out and not pay taxes. But you never pay the loans back anyway. So that's, it's called a loan and it's structured like a loan, but you never pay it back. So you look at your cash value. All you have to do is look at the statements on your life insurance or call your life insurance person. We deal with a lot of life insurance. We sell term life insurance, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. We sell universal, we sell whole life. So, this is the way it works. And we have a lot of folks that planned early enough, accumulated cash value, and they are able to take the money and in some cases they use the money as it was. In other cases, they were able to put money into Roths over time, so it continued to grow, in fact, tax-free. So there's different things you can do, and I advise a lot of folks on what to do with cash values. Another thing that doesn't apply to everybody, but rental income. Rental income has some tax advantages, in terms of passive income or losses, ordinary income or losses, depreciation, and so forth. So if you're in that, you need to work with a good tax person, and you probably are if you're doing that already. Now, as far as real estate is concerned, I will tell you that the one thing I really don't think much of, is timeshares. Now, I know people that are spending a lot of money on timeshares, and I know some people that have actually made money on timeshares. But most people that go into timeshares end up in a rather naive situation where they don't really get the whole picture. They're enamored with a location, they love to look at the ocean out there, and they've got this timeshare. But if you really look at it closely, it's not really a good investment, in my opinion. In my opinion, not everybody feels this way. So this is just my take. So that's timeshare. That's timeshares. Home equity. So home equity is an interesting proposition. Usually on home equity loans, you're going to pay a relatively favorable rate, but you don't have to spend the money. You could have a home equity loan. Let's say your house is worth $400,000 market value, and you went out and got a $100,000 home equity line. You get a checkbook. You don't pay interest until you take some money out, and you can pay it back if you want to, or you can. In a way, it acts like a second mortgage, except that you can pay back or not pay back. You can pay the interest and so forth. So it could be a good thing. It could be something you want to look at, maybe. And you can talk to your tax person about it. In that same area, think about reverse mortgages. Now, there's a negative connotation to a lot of reverse mortgages, although they've become very popular in the last 10 years, or much more popular. And you see Tom Selleck on television, advertising them and talking about them, so he brings some credibility to him because he has a favorable standing with most people. Anyway, the point is that reverse mortgage can be a good thing, and they can be a bad thing, or somewhere in between. And I talk to people about, I don't do reverse mortgages, but I do help people figure out if they're being treated fairly with the rates and the fees that are in them, because there are rates and fees. And so if your house appreciates, it could theoretically appreciate, while you're taking more money out of it, but it could appreciate it at that same rate or higher, so that that's not a bad thing. It depends on how long you're going to be there. If you ever plan to pay it back, and you don't have to pay it back, it can be paid back, after you're gone, as far as that's concerned. So, but I counsel people on that, even though we're not in that business. I counsel people on a lot of things that we don't actually, earn any income on, or commissions or anything else, because I'm here to help people that want to retire, and I help a lot of people that are not going to retire soon. But so I have a talking relationship and some understanding about a lot of different things. And I talk in fairly general terms. I do make referrals to people that can offer these services, and these are people that I've been doing this with for a long time. They have good reputations and so forth. I do the same thing when it comes to real estate agents. I sorted through them, and I have some that I like more than others. In fact, I could tell you right now a name that you probably would know in Baltimore County and Carroll County and so forth is Margaret Rome. And Margaret Rome actually has a show on the radio, but she's very, very reliable. She's been at this for like 40 years, and well thought of by the community and by the real estate industry. So, and I'll be happy to give you her information about her if you call me. Social Security, the biggest thing about Social Security is the question is, when should I start taking it? And I said earlier, you have certain ages when you have full retirement, full benefits. You could take it later than that, and the benefits will be greater, or you could take it earlier than that, and the benefits would be less. But here's the insight. Let's say hypothetically that you're planning not to work. Because if you take it early, you got limitations on how much you can earn in other income, at working, and not be dinged by the Social Security and so forth. So, but if you're not going to work, number one, then take it early. Pretend that your full benefits are at 67, and you took it at 62, which is the earliest you can take it. So that's 5 years earlier. And let's say that you're going to get, make believe, $2,000 a month if you take it early. And let's say hypothetically that you're going to get $2,600 a month if you waited until 67 or some such thing. Okay, it takes about 9 years to make up for the money you didn't take. We don't know how long we're going to live. So if you took it and you had 5 years before full retirement benefits, then that's 5 times 12 is 60 months. So you gave up 60 months, 60 checks that you waited, you put it off, you waited, and you gave up 60 checks. Now the checks thereafter would be greater. The question is, who knows where we're going to be or if we are going to be? And the thing is that you passed up all that money. What's the dollar value of money, time value of money? What could you have accomplished with that money had you had it? So those are the kind of things I help people figure out what's the best thing for them. See, and so that's a big question. But I'm happy to counsel you on that. You can go online to ss.gov, and you can open what they call an account, and it'll tell you about your personal situation. Not a bad idea. And if you're going to collect Social Security, we always tell people, go down to the Social Security office 3 months before you want to start and ask them the questions that you didn't find, let's say, online, or you didn't look online and you need answers. And they'll give you some good answers, and then you can decide on your own. But remember that when you're talking Social Security, they have their own bias. They want you to wait as long as possible because that's the way they're trained. But on the other hand, when the employees of Social Security, go to their own retirement seminars held by Social Security, they advise their employees to start the income as early as possible. Isn't that interesting? They tell the public one thing, they tell their employees another thing. So, beware of that. And if you want help, call me. I didn't say like I usually do. Mike Newmeyer, 410-902-0464. Available for any questions. And incidentally, if you would like a question answered and you think it's important for everybody, we will answer it in the podcast. So, think about that. When I was on the radio, we got a lot of live questions and we answered it then. But you send the questions in, or you call us and give us the questions. You can send them to our email, which will be on the screen. And I'm more than happy to address those questions, in the podcast. Okay. Or you can call up if you want the answer now, and I'll try to give you. I don't know everything, but I'll try to help you with whatever your question is. Even if I have to do a little research. Okay, but Social Security, that's a big issue. Then the seminars on just Social Security, and it's in this seminar that I'm referencing here that I put together a long time ago, and then I updated it. There's a lot of Social Security information. A lot of information on all the retirement subjects. And, okay, so that's, incidentally on Social Security, when you get your Medicare benefits, that you're going to pay for, that can be arranged to be taken out of the Social Security that you're paid. And that way you don't have to worry about making any payments on Social Security. Okay. There's other things that you should be aware of. Of course, you've got your 401ks or 403bs. That's for teachers and hospital healthcare employees and so forth. What do? We roll those things over all the time. We work with rollovers. Remember, I've got my sign over here. We take 401ks, 403bs, TSBs, thrift savings plans with federal employees, and IRAs, and we roll them over to safe lifetime income. Safe lifetime income. So we create private personal pensions. Who doesn't like a pension? You're going to get lifetime income, and your spouse. So that's the story. And I'm going to cut it here, and I'm going to come back on the next podcast and continue.